Vice President Kamala Harris. One of the old saws is they just want somebody they can have a beer with. So would you like to have a beer with me so I can tell people what that's like? Okay. This was, now we asked ahead of time. You asked for Miller High Life. You asked for Miller High Life.
Okay, the last time I had beer was at a baseball game. Cheers.
There you go. I want to ask you a question that a lot of Republicans are avoiding. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
You lost millions of jobs. You lost manufacturing. You lost automotive plants. You lost the election. What does that make you? A loser.
Accurate. It's accurate.
Any politician would play political games with these folks, with people who are in the midst of such suffering, loss of life.
Out in the street, they call it.
Have you no empathy, man? You know, for the suffering of other people, have you no sense of purpose?
Well, Madam Vice President, thank you so much for being here. Such a pleasure. We'll be right back.
NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help.
The moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first, people are in desperate need of support right now. And playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish.
Florida is once again bracing for another massive storm. Hurricane Milton is currently a Category 5 hurricane. Extremely dangerous situation. Swells of up to 20 feet. Hurricane warnings have been issued. Evacuations have been issued. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been MIA in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, but especially in North Carolina. Now, today, Kamala tried to insinuate that Governor DeSantis does not want federal help. Well, Governor DeSantis said he didn't even know she called. This week, she is focused on fawning interviews. They haven't lifted a finger to help, and now suddenly she's pretending to care.
Helene was a Category 4 storm. It did significant damage. We've been on this footing now for 2 weeks straight, and now we have an even bigger storm in a very populated area. And I've been in touch with both FEMA and the president, as well as marshaling all our state agencies and working to support our local communities. And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm because of her campaign.
28 days to go until election. Please welcome back the next president of the United States.
This massive storm is heading, it's about to hit Florida.
Yeah.
You and Governor DeSantis have been going back and forth, trading jabs over your attempt to check in. You've called him selfish for not taking your calls. Now, he said this morning you've never called regarding any of the storms Florida has had since you've been vice president until apparently now, and called it political. What's your response to that?
Obviously, this is not an issue that is about politics for certain leaders, but maybe is for others. I called the governor about what Florida has received in terms of impact. We have to have an agreement. Called, taken the call, answered the call, had a conversation. And I think it's a shame that that hasn't happened.
He'll take your call when you're president.
Yeah.
And when I'm president, I will continue to call him to see what he needs for help.
Maybe he won't be in office anymore then.
As vice president, you've worked very closely with President Biden for almost 4 years. He was here on our show, and he said there wasn't a single thing that he did that you could not do. What do you think would be the biggest specific difference between your presidency and a Biden presidency? If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
This is the second powerful hurricane to hit parts of America in just over 2 months. and many predict scenes of devastation, not just on the coast, but deep into the country, with Donald Trump arriving in Georgia this afternoon, ostensibly to survey the damage.
Reached out to President Biden about federal relief efforts?
No, I haven't reached out to him. No, I think he's sleeping right now, actually.
Joe Biden, who had, in fact, returned to the White House earlier than planned on Sunday and had already addressed the devastation in earlier remarks.
I've directed my team to provide every available resource as fast as possible to your communities to rescue, recover, and to begin rebuilding.
Biden says he plans to visit storm-ravaged areas this week as Vice President Kamala Harris cut short a campaign trip in Nevada to return to Washington, D.C. to be briefed on the crisis.
We've been working around the clock to prepare for Hurricane Milton and to ensure that people are safe. To the people of Florida, and in particular the people of the Tampa region, we urge you to take this storm seriously.